Hello, everybody. It is Thursday. It is Teal Talk. I am Jenny Guy, Mediavine's marketing manager, and I'm coming to you from sunny Florida today. I'm going to give you a quick view. It is sunny and it is Florida.
Beautiful.
We're here. Thank you. Yeah, we're here at FinCon, and I am here with Melissa Megginson. She is the community manager of Tailwind. I'm going to have Melissa introduce herself. I'm in a hotel room. If you saw a pillow, that's why I'm not broadcasting from my bedroom. And she is also in a hotel room. So, Melissa, I'm so thrilled that you're here. We're going to have a great Teal Talk. Please tell me a little bit about yourself and Tailwind.
Sure. Yeah. So it's kind of funny that we're both in hotels today. Our entire team is in town right now. We have a remote team. And so everyone is in town and we're having a vision session. So it's really fun. But we are a Pinterest and Instagram scheduling and analytics tool. And I've personally been with the company for 6 years. This is my first job out of college. It's the only professional job I've ever known, and I think I'm completely spoiled by it. It's such a great place to work. I love my team. I love our members. It's why I'm community manager. I love telling our members stories and helping them succeed with Tailwind, with Pinterest, with Instagram.
And that's amazing. And the way you describe your community and the way you describe Tailwind is just the exact same way we talk about Mediavine. I think that's why our companies have become friends. We're so happy that we're able to. So hi, we're getting highs from Ivy. Hi, Zona. Hi, Emma. We're so glad you're with us today. So talk to me a little bit about Tailwind. Who uses it? Who is it for? And let's pretend like we're not all bloggers and Tailwind experts. Sure. So sell it to us.
Yeah, so of course, bloggers are a very large part of our market makeup, but we also help people in MLM platforms, people that are selling online, so on Etsy stores or Shopify stores, people with physical locations. So like even restaurants will use us to promote their restaurant on Instagram or to try to get into tourism boards on Pinterest. So it's pretty much anyone who is interested in spreading their reach on Pinterest and Instagram, saving time, doing more of the things that they love without having to worry about being on their phone, posting to Instagram, or being on their computer looking for pins to share all the time.
And that's perfect. And tell us how Tailwind works with that. That's a great description of who uses it. Why should we use Tailwind?
Right. So the biggest part of it, really our core product is the scheduling tool. And so on Pinterest, you just load in your content and we will publish it on your behalf at the best times for engagement. And then on the Instagram side, it's very similar. You load in your content and we will automatically publish it, which is a new thing within this past year. So you don't have to get the notification or the text message saying, hey, it's time to post. We'll just do it for you. So it saves you time. It allows you to spread your reach and get in front of those great audiences that you want to be in front of at the perfect time. And then beyond that, we also have our Tribes tool, which helps bloggers, Etsy sellers, whoever's using the tool find like-minded pinners to partner with and grow together by sharing each other's content and building each other up within the Tailwind platform. And on Instagram, we have our hashtag finder, which is an amazing tool. I said I wasn't going to talk about Instagram, but I'll
go for it.
A certain keyword, and we will populate all sorts of great hashtags and help you evaluate which ones are best. Then you can save them and use them later. Amazing. And finally, coming up super soon, I think we're going to talk about it here in a minute, is our Smart Loop product, which is going to help you make sure your evergreen content is going out around regular intervals without having to go back and say, oh, have I pinned that Christmas pin yet? It's coming up. I got to get on it. We'll help you maintain that schedule without having to think about it too much.
That is a slew of exciting products. And we are going to talk about Smart Loop later. Everyone, yes. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Amy. You guys go ahead and put your questions for Melissa in there, but I've got a list of them from you already. So we're going to hit those up in a second. The first thing, though, is that I heard you say that you post things at the best times. How are you determining what the best times are? Give us a little reassurance on how you guys know when the best times to post, because I've heard people argue about that a lot.
Yeah, so we have an algorithm on our end that looks at when your content's getting engagement, when people are clicking, when people are seeing it, and we build a schedule called our Smart Schedule based on those recommendations from the algorithm. With Pinterest, it's a little bit different because of the Smart Feed, and somewhat the same with Instagram, but it still matters that you're putting out your content consistently and regularly. And so that's really where the smart schedule comes in. We look at what's working for you, not necessarily what's working for all of Pinterest and Instagram, and recommend those time slots for you.
Very helpful and very good to know that it's not just because we all read the blog posts that say between 1 and 3 on Tuesdays for lifestyle content. And it's very good to know that you're implementing all that your algorithm takes in what's working for a specific person and their specific niche as opposed to just general. Okay. We talked about tribes. Let's start there. This is the big buzzword that whenever I hear people talk about Tailwind, they talk about tribes. So what are tribes? Talk to me about what those mean and what are the benefits of joining one?
So our CEO described it at first when we first started implementing it and testing it as making social media a team sport. And I think that's just such an incredible way to describe tribes, because it is working with your fellow pinner, with your fellow blogger, rather than seeing them as a competitor and someone that you should be working against. It's working together to reach each other's audiences, to build up each other, and to grow and help one another through the Tribes platform. So it's real simple. If you have Tailwind, when you're scheduling your content, you just click on the little Tribes button, insert it into your tribes. We help you make sure you're not overloading your tribes, or, if you've already shared that pin to that tribe, we have tools built in to help with that. And then you can go into the tribe and share out your friends' content. So you're not having to say, oh, did Beth posts a new blog post, I need to go see it. It'll already be in there. And so you can fill up your queue with incredible content from your friends, from those people you want to support, and they will be doing the same thing with your content.
And I love that idea of it being a team sport, and such a great way to scale without having to go out and do all of the legwork on your own.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Just to throw in one last thing, if I can remember it. Now, of course, it slipped my mind. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, we'll come back. It'll come back to you since we're not done with tribes. So how do you find tribes to join? How do you find more tribes?
So we have our Tribes Discovery tool built into the platform, but you can also literally Google search for tribes and find big lists of tribes that may not necessarily be listed as public or as request to join within our Discovery platform, as well as there are some amazing Facebook groups about it too. So there's a number of ways you can find tribes to join. And if you don't see one that you want to join, you can go ahead and just create your own, and that won't count against your tribes limit. So within just our basic plan, you have 5 tribes that you can join. If you're in 5 tribes and you create another one, won't count against that limit.
That's fabulous. So talk to me about moving up into your different plan levels. Talk to me a little bit about the different plan levels and tell me your advice on when it's time to start moving up and moving up.
Right. So with just our basic plus plan, you get 5 tribes and 30 submissions per month. So that's 30 pieces of content that you're adding to those 5 tribes. For most people, that is enough. But as bloggers start to create more content and see the benefit from tribes, they may want to move up. And so we have a couple of other plan levels from there. I believe the next level up is 10 tribes and 80 submissions per month. And then like 200 tribes. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it goes up until there's the unlimited tribes, where you can put in as many pieces of content as you'd like and join as many tribes as you'd like. There are very, very, very few people that need that. So really, our most popular plan is the one step up from just the basic plan, the 10 tribes with 80 submissions. And so once you start to see those results from tribes, and you're looking at your tribe's insights and seeing those repins, the click-through rate, and that traffic, then you may decide that it's time to upgrade and test out some new tribes. But you may also see that some of the tribes that you joined are just not working for you, and that's perfectly fine. Not every tribe is going to be a great match. So then you can leave that tribe, find another amazing new tribe to join, and you never have to pay more than you currently are.
So this is tough. So we heard from Morgan Smith McBride. She said, I love that your tribes let you hide pins that you already pinned. Any plans to allow you to hide pins that you already skipped? I get bogged down skipping the same pins over and over again on several tribes.
That's a really, really interesting request. There is not anything on the roadmap for that, but I will definitely go next door and tell the guys that that's a request. And
pound on the wall.
Yeah. come in here. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Marissa Stewart said, how do you find a tribe and who do you ask to join?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So just within the past few months, we actually enabled you to hover over tribe mates in the list on the site, and you can see what their submissions are, other tribes that they're in, and you can invite them to other tribes. So that can be a really great way to go in, find, so, if you're in a big food blogger tribe, but you want to start one specifically for chocolate cake, you can hover over certain people, see what they've submitted to tribes, and then invite them to your chocolate cake tribe and just have those chocolate cakes in there.
I want to be on that tribe. How do I join the chocolate cake tribe? Like, that
Obviously,
sounds like the best tribe.
We haven't gotten our desserts yet, so it's on my mind.
Yeah, same. Okay, so Tara Jacobson says she has the Medium with 200 and it works just about right, publishing every weekday, which is great to hear. All right, here's a question. How do I know when I need to break up with a tribe? That's a tough question, and I know it's always hard. Yeah.
Tribes Insights is going to really be a great place for you to see that. So you can see the ratio of submissions to repins, if you're getting the reach that you're looking for. You can sort by those different metrics and make sure that you're in the tribes that are actually driving value for you. Because, if you've submitted 10 pieces of content, it's only been reshared once and it's gotten 0 repins, it's probably not a good fit for you. So then you can leave, free up that spot, and join another one.
Just move on. There's someone out there for everyone. There's a tribe out there for you.
Exactly.
Okay. Wendy Tomlinson said, hi, I find Tailwind tribes really time consuming. Is there a quick way to schedule several posts in one go within a tribe? At the moment, I can only work out how to do it individually.
This is a request that we get a lot, and it's something that we're trying to work through because we would like to enable our members to schedule out their friends' content really quickly, but we also don't want it to turn into something where you just go in and you schedule everything, whether it's good or not for you. So there's a certain level that we want to get to where it's super easy to share everyone's content very quickly, but you're still paying attention to where it's going and who it's going out to, and showing Pinterest that you are adding quality content to their site.
So you're looking out for people. You never want to make it too easy to share content in a way that they're going to get dinged by Pinterest and not get the reach. Yep. Good to know. That's very helpful. Okay. So let's talk about Smart Loop a little bit. Let's jump into that. I'm excited. Tell us about it. What are you most excited about? When will it be out of beta? Smart Loop us up.
All right. So we are slowly adding more and more and more people every single day. Maybe not today because they're all next door, but every other day we're adding more and more people, and we're starting with our Plus Plan members. So if you're a paying customer and you filled out the Smart Loop survey, it is coming to you very soon. We are planning on having the private beta fully rolled out by the end of October. And so then I believe it's in January when we're hoping to have the public launch, and that way everyone can get access to Smart Loop. And so it is coming. We're just having to deal with fun infrastructure and database and little developer things on the back end to make sure it's a memorable experience. Very excited about this product, and then it doesn't work. So there are some things that we're still working through. That's why we call it a beta. And but the thing that I am most excited about, I think, are the possibilities for our seasonal loops specifically, because those will allow you to, with a Christmas board or Christmas boards, Christmas content that you've created, you can set up a loop to share your Christmas content every single year from August 31st to December 24th, and it will automatically go out. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to remember that, it's the end of August, I got to get on the Christmas stuff. It'll just do it for you. We also have analytics within it, so you can see how certain content is performing within your loops, and then adjust maybe the boards that it's going to, the photos, the description. You can adjust and keep on making things and optimizing things to get the most out of your Smart Loops. I think it's just such a great product, and I know it's taken a while to get it out to you guys, but once it's in your hands, I think you'll understand just how much care and thought and really listening to our members went into creating this product and making it just perfect for you guys.
And that sounds super, like so many things. Amy Pelsner actually just said she just started with loops. She says it's easy to use. Great job. She's super excited to see how it pans out. So great job, everyone. Oh, Tara Jacobson has a question. She said she has a request with the seasonal loop. She said, can they take it out of that little quote space blanked out on your scheduler, if not the time when that loop is active? Sounds like another wall pound.
Yep. If you have not written that into us as feedback, please do. help@tailwind.com. We are collecting that feedback. Even if we don't get back to you automatically, we are collecting it and making sure it's getting in front of us so we can continue to iterate and continue to make Smart Loop even better than it already is.
Amy said she started with the loops. She also asked a question about the loops. Mm-hmm. She was saying and actually in the Mediavine Facebook group, she was asking when she went to set it up, she said that the amount of pins was a little low, and she was wondering what the differences might be between paying to power up and how, what people might observe in that difference.
I think it just depends. So the power-ups are based on the amount of content and the number of boards that you're sharing it out to. So with our basic plan, you will have 250. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Smart loops. Yes, so Smart Loop pens.
Excellent.
There's a whole dictionary that I had to write out for myself with this.
I hear you. We've got a new plugin. So much to learn.
So much to learn. So I apologize if I'm getting the jargon a little bit off, but there are 250 Smart Loop pens, which are the individual pieces of content that you can load into Smart Loop and share out to each board. So if you have one pen, Smart Loop pen, that is going to 5 boards, that's 5 Smart Loop pens that counts against the 250 limit. So it depends on how much content you have and how many boards you would like it to be shared out to. A lot of people get super excited when they're setting up their Smart Loop and click on 100 pins and try to put them to 12 boards. And then they realize, ooh, I've hit my limit already and I just started. So that's another thing that we're sort of working on and tweaking and figuring out how to make that easier for you guys to not accidentally go over your limit immediately. But that's probably where, once you get that all figured out and you have your pins, your Smart Loop pins set up in your loops, then you can evaluate whether or not you should power up or continue where you are.
That was a very excellent answer and very detailed. So Amy, now you know. So is there anything else about Smart Loop, Melissa, Smart Loop that you want to talk about? Smart Loop before we move on.
If there are any questions, please let me know. It's still something that I'm learning. We will have beta pricing when for those of you that have written in and are wanting to join the beta, that will increase after. So if you are thinking about that power up, definitely suggest doing it before it goes public next year so that you can get that lower price locked in immediately.
And where do they need to go to do all this?
This will be within the dashboard. So as soon as you get set up with Smart Loops, when you're invited, there's great onboarding. That's another thing that we've been working really, really hard on to get to you guys. Great onboarding, and then a pricing structure that will be thoroughly explained.
Oh, Tara Jacobson just said she's using it unlimited and her visits from pens are up 59%.
That's amazing.
That is quite an amazing percentage right there. That's congratulations, so cool. Tara. Yay. Glad to hear that.
We'll probably be talking to you about some case studies here.
We're going to testify, Tara. Okay, let's talk about Tailwind Mobile. Mm-hmm. So Shauna Shad wanted to know, she said she finds using Tailwind Mobile is a bit tricky unless she's missing something and that it's actually easy to use via mobile. She said, can you offer any tricks or tips for making it easier when using it on mobile? Mm-hmm. She would love to use it more on her iPad when she's at her kids' tennis lessons or even sitting in the car pickup line, trying to make better use of her time away from the cute computer as we all are. So multitasking, how can we work on that?
Okay, I'm getting it pulled up.
Fabulous.
So I can try and show what it looks like. So I am going into my Pinterest. Excellent. And I want to share this pin, how to make affiliate sales. So okay, so I just updated my Pinterest and it looks different. I should have practiced this before. I apologize.
No,
Okay.
don't apologize.
No, this the little box here. If you click on that, and then it'll say send pin. If you let's not text my sister-in-law. If you scroll over and click on more apps, I apologize that this is a little strange way to do it.
We're good. We're good. We're MacGyver in it.
You can scroll over. If Tailwind's not in this list, you can scroll over to the more and add it there. Otherwise, click on Tailwind and it'll pop up the scheduling modal. And from there, you can add your board and really quickly just schedule while you're, waiting in the carpool line or something.
Fabulous. Okay, great. And any other extra tips or tricks on using it via mobile? Any insights that you might give, or just anything extra on the mobile?
You can also do that from if you have, well, I guess you would have to have it on iOS. When you're in Safari, you can also use it in a very similar way. So let's see. If you click on the little share button down here.
Can you move your phone up just a little bit? We're blocked by your name. Got it.
Okay. Share button and then Tailwind again. So you can also share your blog posts or your friend's blog posts, wherever you are on the internet. If you want to share that, you can do it from there as well. And to be completely frank, the mobile app experience is a little bit limited right now. If you know any good iOS or Android developers, we are hiring. So it's definitely something that we're working on, and we want to make the experience better. But there are just a couple of tips and tricks like that you can do to speed up your process. And then once you're on the computer, if you scheduled a whole bunch of pins and you want to shuffle it, you can just do it from there. So it's just a quick and easy way to get them loaded in. Or I know people that will save them as drafts. So then they can go back in and they have all of those pins that they've saved while they were waiting to pick up their kid from soccer practice or something. And they can schedule them once they're at a computer.
Fantastic. That's a lot of good mobile tips that I think that we're such a mobile world now that I think that the more things we can get done on our phones, the easier and happier we are in life. All right, Diane Williams wants to know about group boards. Talk to me a little bit about group boards, explain what they are, and then we'll ask her question.
Sure. Yeah, so group boards in the past, it's been largely a marketing tool for a lot of bloggers. So they join big group boards with 1,000 contributors and just add their pins all willy-nilly without necessarily looking at the other content. That has changed recently. Pinterest has sort of tweaked that marketing element of it, and now group boards, they're trying to get pinners to use them for their original purpose, which was to collaborate with one another to create something really neat and something that is personally beneficial to you. So for example, my most popular board through looking at my Tailwind account is my group board for one of my friends' weddings, where we were pinning the bridesmaid dresses that we wanted. And so that's really where Pinterest wants group boards to go. So there is still a marketing element to it, but you can't just sort of throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks anymore.
Okay, excellent. That's good clarification. So she says how to use them with the new best practices. So lay on us how best to implement this new group board.
Make sure that they're niche and that you appreciate the content that's being added, appreciate the pinners that are in there with you, and that it's a group board that you would personally pin from, that you trust that content. It's kind of like tribes, honestly. Like you evaluate them very similarly. So good group boards are going to have content you want to share with your audience, pinners that you trust, and your pins will fit into that board. So thinking of it as a place to actually collaborate rather than just a marketing tool is going to be much more beneficial to you.
Excellent. Excellent. And how do you find good group boards? Where's the best way to search for those?
There's a website called pingroupie.com. I believe they still have a pretty good number of group boards listed on there. Otherwise, just doing a Pinterest search and clicking on the boards and finding some group boards that way.
Fabulous. Wonderful. Pingroupie. Can we share that link in the comments for us, please? With my wonderful, amazing marketing team. All right, so we're going to kind of move on to best practices for Tailwind and Pinterest at all. Oh, wait, Kit just said she wants to get into the beta test. She just applied for SmartLoop, and she says, not sure if anyone else will find this helpful, but I made a secret board where I save just my own content so that I can go there and schedule those pins to Tailwind. I know that's super basic, she said, but it's helping her find her own content to pin more quickly.
And once you're in the SmartLoop beta, you can also filter your pins by your website. So that can also help you load in that content a little bit quicker.
Well, that's nice. Very helpful.
Yeah,
All
those
right.
guys
So
are smart.
it's amazing. Good job in the wall, back behind that wall. Way to go, dudes. Okay. And ladies, I'm sure too.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Diane Williams, she wants to know, is pen size optimized at 60 by 900? We always hear about pen sizes, so let's talk pen sizes.
I actually had to ask Elisa about this earlier. Unfortunately, she was affected by the hurricane, so she couldn't join us today. But her recommendation, which, heard straight from Pinterest mouth, is that it should be 2 by 3. So as long as it's portrait style, you don't want it to be blurry, of course, but just making sure it's portrait style, but maybe not as the super long ones that we used to see all the time back in the beginning of Pinterest. Those are a little bit less popular, but definitely don't go for like the Facebook image that's super wide and super short.
Yeah, that's actually a question I have a little bit later to talk about that, those long vertical pins. Yes or no, hide in post, don't hide. Talk to us about those giraffe pins or whatever you call them. There's many names.
I love that name for them. I mean, as long as it's a good pin and it's providing really good content, like we still make infographics at Tailwind, but we try to add as much value to them without just making them long for the sake of being long. So if the content is there, then sure, they can be longer. But if it's not and you're just adding things to make them super, super long, that's just not going to be as well received by the Pinterest community. As for hiding pins, sure, absolutely. You can still do that. I know Tasty Pins is a really popular WordPress plugin for doing that. But you can also, so what we do on our blog is have it down at the bottom below the post. We have the pinnable image. It's just a little bit smaller. And then once you click on the Tailwind button or the Pinterest button, it'll pull up all those images so you can select it from there as well. So we just try to make it as easy as possible for anyone coming to our site to share out that content.
And that is absolutely great advice as well. And what we always say is that what you said goes perfectly in line, which is that we're always trying to create value and give more content that is actually of use, unique, not showing the same pen 40 times or different angles of the same shot, but really creating value and giving something to our viewer as much as possible. But we are also going to say at the same time, in terms of advertising revenue, those long vertical images and even sometimes pins cause people to scroll, which is going to give you not only advertising revenue, but duration on your site. So beautiful vertical photos are never a miss on your posts.
Yeah, on your site. It's great.
Yes, absolutely. So talk to us about what makes a good pin. Is it picture only, text added? What's a good pin?
Pinterest a few years ago put out there like qualities of a great pin. And so that included a high quality photo. So one that's not pixelated and one that's visually appealing. Text overlay to give the photo some context, and text that's easy to read. So you're not having to squint, and make sure that it can be visible from mobile as well. It's another thing to keep in mind. And a small branding on the image so that people will immediately know that it's your pin. So, when people are scrolling, they'll see the little Tailwind swoosh in the bottom. They know it's our pin. So that small branding really helps tie your Pinterest presence together and makes it a little bit more cohesive. So, and then really good, rich descriptions as well. So you can make sure that people know what they're getting into when they click through to your site, and using rich pins to help enable that as well.
Are you a fan of creating a template or being that very specifically branded in terms of the Pinterest presence? What do you think about that?
I think it can absolutely work.
Okay.
You may need to test it out a little bit at first. So maybe try out a few different types of pins and see which one is resonating the best with your audience. But after that, yeah, if you stick with one template, it makes your life a lot easier, as well as it makes it instantly recognizable as your content.
Excellent. Very, very helpful. Okay. So we just got a question from Tara. She said, can you talk a little bit about going for clicks rather than for repins? She said, I know it is awesome to get repins for future traffic, but do you have any tips to get click-throughs rather than just having a bunch of pins saved that no one visits from?
That's such a good question. And I will give my opinion on it and then ask the team what they think, especially Elisa. I feel like she would be great for this one. But my personal opinion, you need to have a call to action, either within the pin or within your description, that brings people in and sort of calls them to click through and find out more. Back in the day, we called it clickbait, but it's not clickbait if you're actually providing a great piece of content to them and that you're delivering on your promise with that CTA. I know a few years ago there was some hubbub over the rich pins and recipes, and Pinterest is giving away too much on the rich pins and recipes, but now they've scaled it back so that you can see just the ingredients that you need, but you have to click through and read the article to get the full recipe. And so I think that even if you're not a recipe blogger, I think that's a really good about how can I just give the ingredients list, but they still need to click through to read the meat of it.
Very helpful. Very, very helpful. Okay. Let us talk a little bit about, we're going back to tribes for a second. I just had a question actually from a Mediavine staff member who also manages our Pinterest account. She said, would you recommend joining multiple tribes that are hyper-focused in topic? For example, only vegan or gluten-free recipes, or a fewer broader range topic tribes?
I think both, a mix of both. So if you are a specifically vegan blogger, of course you need those niche recipes, those niche tribes to get into, because those people are going to be hyper interested in your content. But at the other end, like, I'm not vegan, but I make vegan recipes because I think they're delicious and I want to pretend like I'm healthy sometimes. And so you want to have that broader audience to be able to share that content out to, even if it's not necessarily a perfect match all the time.
Sure. Sure. In the same way that when we're talking about with our brands about doing sponsored campaigns through our influencer marketing, just because you are a bank doesn't mean you only want to work with financial bloggers. Other people use banks. Other people eat vegan food. Other people like gluten-free. So yeah, definitely expand those choices. That's great advice.
Definitely.
All right. Yeah, give yourself a broader audience as often as you can, but still speak to your people. So the answer is yes.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. It's always good. It's whenever I have my my friend who's a lawyer come on, she specializes in law work with bloggers. She always says, it depends. That's her favorite answer. All right. So let's talk video. It's the year of video at Mediavine. We're crazy about video, and people are asking, what is Pinterest doing about video, and how is Tailwind responding?
This is another one that I don't have all the information on. I know that you can schedule from YouTube. You can use the Tailwind, or you can use the Pinterest button to schedule through Tailwind that way and share your video that way. They haven't embraced it quite as much as, say, a Instagram or a Facebook has, with like having live video on Pinterest. But I know that like video ad pins are becoming more popular, and the tasty videos for recipes are super popular, or the Tailwind, if you use the browser extension. I don't believe we support uploads, but I mean, it's easier to schedule from your website or from Vimeo or YouTube anyway.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so yeah, that's definitely, people are talking a lot about video and how do native video pins affect Tailwind? And it seems a lot of people are starting to say that it seems like Pinterest, while somewhat of a late adopter in the social world, is beginning to push more towards it. I know we don't have the exact answers, but are there more plans for Tailwind to continue to embrace and push more towards video?
We certainly are on the Instagram side, and so like just because of the way our tool is built. Once we start being able to accept videos on the Instagram side, it will likely enable us to be able to natively schedule uploads of videos to the Pinterest side a lot easier.
That's really exciting. And we are looking forward to the day of videos everywhere, videos all over the world.
Yes.
All right. Amy Pelsner wants to know, are the first 5 pins still the most important? She then has now heard the first 5 don't matter anymore.
Yeah, they don't.
Okay.
That was
so
a very short-lived thing. Yeah. When Pinterest came on and did a Facebook Live with Elisa, Sarah from Pinterest came on and did it with Elisa. It was all about the first 5 pins, and then a few weeks later, they realized like this is just really confusing. We had a hard time understanding it. Sarah had a hard time explaining it in a way that we understood. So they've since rolled that back. So the first 5 pin thing, just forget it ever happened.
All right, that is gone. Goodbye. Erase it from your memory. Okay. Yep. Sierra Demler wants to know, Sierra. She wants to know what ratio of your pins versus other people's pins should you be using, and how many okay, we'll start with that.
Ratio of your pins to other people's pins. I'm going to pull one trick from your lawyer. It depends. It definitely depends. It depends on how much content you have personally. And, especially for an early blogger, that ratio is going to be much heavier towards the other people's pins. Because you want to become like a content source on Pinterest, and Pinterest sees you as a place of, that can curate great content. And so that's not going to be just yours because you may only have 3 blog posts. But as you grow, that percentage can increase up to even 50-50. So if you have enough content to share out your blog posts, your different blog posts regularly in that way, that ratio is perfectly fine.
Okay, we are having some issues with the hotel Wi-Fi as well, so I think we missed a few questions on looping. Here we go. Jackie Fisher said she is struggling with the idea of looping for a few reasons. She says, the loop chooses which board to pin to first. I know Pinterest has said pin to your most applicable board first and then pin or repin to others. Is there any way to set the first, quote, set the first board you want the pin to go to when looping?
I think that's related to the first 5 pins thing. So I don't know if that's still relevant. I may be misunderstanding, and can go back and look later and respond. But I believe that's related to the first 5 pins, and so it shouldn't matter where that pin is going up first.
Fantastic. That's good to know. Okay. Thea, I'm not sure why you gave a frowny face. Is it because the first 5 pins don't matter anymore and you were looking at the first 5 pins, or is there another reason? You got to give us more, Thea. Talk to us. Okay. Tara Jacobson said with the looping, she tried to put other people's pins between her posts. It was really easy to visualize in the weekly view. She is all about the looping. Tara, we're glad you love it. Okay. So number 2, Jackie, we're back to Jackie. She said she also set rules in the loops, only pin to this board once a week, but then when she goes back to her regular schedule, she has 1 loop pin and 1 scheduled pin going to the same board on the same day. Is there any way to set rules that apply to all pins in her schedule, those in loops and outside of loops?
We've definitely heard this as a pain point within our system because the loop schedule and your regular schedule are totally different. So we haven't figured that out yet, but we hear you. We're thinking about it. We're trying to figure out a way to make sure that you're not, putting 3 pins to a board that only allows 1 pin per day.
But good. The feedback has been heard. We're working on it. All right, Morgan Smith McBride. Well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and do this loop question one more time. Okay, Brandy Crawford said, what percentage of people interested in looping have been approved? How many more are left to migrate? Can you tell she has FOMO because it hasn't been rolled out to her yet?
So I will encourage you not to think of it as approved because it is a pretty random process of how we're choosing our Plus Plan members to be accepted. And I don't have a confident number to tell you how many have been accepted in, but we are really pushing and planning on getting everyone in before Halloween.
Fabulous. That is very exciting. Okay, so you heard that. You heard it here first, or I'm sure you've said it somewhere else. You are not don't FOMO yet. You've got time, and you will be there, and you'll be able to eat all the candy and loop all the time. It'll be fabulous. Take your kids' candy, take the Snickers. That is my personal advice. All right. Morgan Smith McBride says, I would love to hear about your Tailwind Insights tools and any tips you have for analyzing our pins.
So my favorite tool that we have is our Board Insights tool, because it helps you figure out what boards are actually working for you. So I know that's something that comes up a lot, especially if you're on a bunch of group boards. Is this actually doing anything for me? So if you go in there, and we have an option to sort by group boards, your personal boards, or secret boards. So if you click on just the group boards, and then sort it by repins within the last 7 days. That's the one that I really like to do. Then I can see which boards are super active and super active right now. Because I have some boards that haven't been pinned to in actual years. That, it's the bridesmaid one.
Yeah.
And that one hasn't been pinned to in years. So although it shows as one that's super engaged from the time that we were pinning to it regularly, now it has no repins, but other ones that I'm in are continuing to drive repins every single day. And so that way I can understand what boards are still active and which ones I should maybe jump out of.
Excellent. Fabulous. That's really helpful. Okay. Thea, she said yes. She finally saw some traffic after implementing the first 5 pins thing. Now she's tanking again because the first 5 pins are gone. Any advice for her? Is there anything you can tell her, Thea? Can you tell us give us some more specifics, and maybe we can triage here? We'll wait to see what we hear from Thea. Okay, Brandy Crawford said you simmered the FOMO. Thank you. Good to know. Brandy, we're glad you're better.
Nothing against you.
Okay, Sierra. Okay, so she said that if you only have she had one more. How many pins per day is optimal?
Another one where I will say it depends.
Right.
So we have seen that first I would suggest, if you're not super comfortable with scheduling, not super comfortable with Pinterest, just start out with 5 per day and make sure you can keep up with that and that you're still enjoying it, still having fun, and then start adding those we suggest time slots on your behalf. So keep clicking on those green bubbles and putting in those time slots as you feel comfortable. And then once you get to a point where you'd say, I can keep up with this, if I go any further, I'm going to drive myself crazy, that's when you should stop. That's when you should maybe back off. And with looping, that makes it a lot easier to get that content out there, and you're not having to go in and try and find brand new content all the time. So we don't have an exact number to give you, really. But in the past, when we've studied it, we've seen that over 50 pins per day, you actually see diminishing returns. Not true for everyone, but on average, you will see diminishing returns if you're pinning more than 50 times per day.
I love that you said that, Melissa, that it's all based on your own personal comfort zone and that you should be enjoying this. Yes. What a novel idea. Don't do it if it's making you very upset. Stop.
Totally. Pinterest is fun.
Yes, it should be. Okay. Amy was also having a problem with the first 5 pins thing was working for her as well. Sorry, Amy. Now she has a question, and it was one actually that I was going to ask a little bit later. How many hashtags should a pin have? Let's talk about pin hashtags in general. Less is better, more is better. Talk to us about that.
I think that like some of the more, I've seen something about like 5. I am blanking on that right now. I can't remember the exact number that we suggest. It's on our blog. If you go to blog.tailwind.com, you can find an article about it. But if you use ones that are a little bit more niche, it's kind of like on Instagram. If you use hashtag love, your content's going to get buried in a pile of everything. There's a billion posts attached to the hashtag love on Instagram. So it's similar on Pinterest. If you use hashtag clothes, your cute top is not going to get seen. It's bare jean skirt that may do a little bit better, and you may get discovered a little bit easier.
Excellent. Okay, so if you only have an hour a week to dedicate to Tailwind, what is the best way to spend your time for the most growth?
Okay, that's such a good question. Okay, so go into your tribes, find content to schedule from your friends and from your tribe mates. Then I would suggest going to your own blog and scheduling out your current pins and adding maybe some of your older pins that are performing really well to your Smart Loops. And after that, I would suggest going into your schedule and shuffling the queue so it's not all going out all in a row.
Mhm.
Just mix it up a little bit, and then go and check out your analytics to make sure that you're on a good trajectory and make sure that everything's working. Sort those group boards, see how they're doing. Sort your regular boards, see how they're doing. And also go to your domain page and look at how your traffic is performing and what pins are driving that traffic to you. And then from there, maybe add them to Smart Loop or send some of them to Tribes to get that extra boost in traffic. So I don't know if you can get all that done in 1 hour, but
Maybe it's 90 minutes. I mean, maybe we're a
Yeah.
little bit flexible on our time. So is there a great comprehensive blog post? Like if we're struggling with using Tailwind, I know you guys have excellent educational resources at Tailwind, and you guys really, really supply your users with all put the tools in their hand. So is there a quick start dummies guide that can get us there quickly?
So when you're in the dashboard, if you go up to a little question mark in the corner, there are video guides in there. So we have mastering Pinterest, mastering Instagram, mastering Tribes, and then there are some more niche topics. So like board lists, how do I set up those? How do I use interval pins? There are some of those shorter, easier tools, as well as just click. There's the question mark up at the top, and then there's the question mark down at the bottom. If you click the question mark down at the bottom, type in your question, then we have a ton of articles specifically written about whatever it is you're looking for.
That is almost too easy. All right. So Wendy Tomlinson said she notices when she adds hashtags, suggested hashtags come up. Should she stick with these, or is it okay to create new, more niche hashtags?
That's a really great question, and one that I don't feel confident in answering completely.
Okay.
My gut says that some of those niche ones, so for us, like at Tailwind, we have hashtag Tailwind Family. If that was something we were trying to promote, like a new brand name or something, then I would say, yeah, go ahead and create that. If that's something that you're trying to get traffic on, absolutely use it and create those niche hashtags. But if it's just something like for us, Tailwind Family is, being able to find our teammates and our members easily. So it's less important in terms of traffic, so I probably wouldn't include that on a pin.
Yeah, the hashtags, I think the niche hashtags that we use in terms of social media a lot are just related to help with our branding, not necessarily. And then once we can start to get our own people that are using it and sharing it to use it as well, that's just a way to continue branding, but not something that we're necessarily using in the strict sense of how hashtags are used. So that's my 2 cents on that one. So Leo Tat says, will this video be saved so we can watch it again? Leo and everybody out, I can answer this one without Melissa. Everybody out in the Facebook world that watches our lives, every single one of our lives is available to you all the time. It's on Facebook. And then after that, we edit it and we put it on our YouTube channel. It's /Mediavine. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every single one of our lives is there. There's no subscription fee. We're not trying to hide them. We want you to watch these videos. That's why we're making them. So always, always, always you can find them. No worries there. All right, let's talk about live pinning versus Tailwind, because Pinterest has said live pinning is important.
They've also said that there's no difference. Their system does not recognize Tailwind versus live pinning. It all goes through as a fresh pin, which is also really important on Pinterest. So if you're using a tool that was, there was one that shut down back in the summer called Board Booster, and how they did it was they would create a repin that was less impactful than creating a fresh pin, which is what you do through live pinning and through using Tailwind. So if you don't want to be sitting behind your desk all day and putting pins onto Pinterest, you can schedule them and they won't have any difference in quality versus ones that you pinned live.
Good to know. Very interesting. Okay, so what is considered a repin versus a new pin?
A repin is, you're on Pinterest and you click on the pin it button and then it goes to your board. And then
Sure.
a fresh pin is one that if you do that through Tailwind, it'll create a fresh pin, or it's one that when you're browsing on the web and you use the browser extension, either Pinterest or Tailwind, to schedule that pin or publish that pin, then that will be a fresh pin.
Fantastic. Okay, if anyone has any additional questions, we're starting to run very low on time. But if anyone has any additional questions for Melissa, shout them out now. I'm going to ask her one more question, then I'm going to make some quick announcements. Aside from Smart Loop, what is on the horizon? What are you most excited about upcoming through Q4 and into 2019? So think about that while I make my announcements.
Ooh, okay.
Guys, yeah, it's a toughie. I want, that's why I'm giving you time. It's like Final Jeopardy. So, guys, we are so excited that you joined us today. Melissa has been an amazing guest. As I said earlier, and as Susanna, my colleague, just posted in the comments, these videos are available to you all the time. That's why we're making them. We believe rising tides raise all ships. We want you to see these things. We want you to continue learning. We want to get back to the blogging community. That's why we make these. So, upcoming on Teal Talk, next Thursday, October 6th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is what the man himself calls the only time zone. I will have Eric Hochberger on to talk, our one of our co-founders, the architect of our ad technology. We have released our WordPress plugin. It is available at the repository. Mediavine Create is live, and we are going to have him here to talk through all of the ins and outs of it, what's coming on the horizon, and to answer all of your questions. So next time, prime time, a week from today, it's going to be 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be promoting more about it soon, and we'll be letting you guys know more so you can start getting your questions, start using Create, seeing what questions you have for him. The next Teal Talk is 2 weeks from today, October 11th. I have blogger, SEO expert, and Mediavine co-founder Amber Bracegirdle. It's her first time on Teal Talk. We're so excited to have her. We're going to talk about all of the things, and I love her to death. It's going to be a great hour together. Oh, Wendy said, oh, that's so nice. She said, thank you so much for this. It's the first of your lives I've seen, and it's been super helpful. I'll definitely be watching the replay. Well, good. We're so glad to hear that, Wendy. Yeah. And we actually are doing transcriptions on our YouTube when we post them, just so that you guys are able to read those things as well when you're doing it, in case you miss any of the links or any of the notes from the broadcast. All right. Melissa, oh, wait. Kit is asking, has anyone had any success promoting pins? I don't know if that's something you can answer, Melissa, or
We have.
you want to dive into that? You have. Tell me about that.
Elisa is our promoted pins queen, and so she's the one to talk to about that. If you go to elisameredith.com, her personal page is just full of information, and I see that she liked this, so you may be able to tag her and ask her this questions.
Oh, whoops. I'm sorry. I blew it. It's not ready yet. So Create is not quite out yet. So what we need to do is just make sure if the support isn't in place yet, we'll have it ready. We'll be talking about it next week. It'll be available by the live. I blew it. I didn't know. Spoiler alert. The end of the movie, Rosebud is a sled. Jenny blew it. Everyone, please forgive me. Forgive me, dev team. I apologize. I thought we were ready to go. We were not ready to go, but we will be ready to go by the next live, and we'll be online ready to answer your questions. Okay, now I am going to go. So can we please post Elisa's website so people can look at that information for promoting pens? If someone will post that in the comments, and we are going to have Melissa answer her oh, thanks, Amy. I am actually purple because I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to announce that. So all right. I'm going to let Melissa answer. You've been such an amazing guest and given so much information. I so appreciate having you. And we're going to have you and Elisa back. So many more Teal Talks to come. And I want to talk Instagram the next time you're here. So lots to talk about. Okay. Tell me what's on the horizon, what you're most excited about.
Most excited, it has to be Smart Loop. I know we've talked about it a lot today, but that's the biggest thing that we're working on the Pinterest side, definitely. And then on the Instagram side, we have some exciting new updates to our hashtag finder, geotagging. We just recently released cropping and story scheduling through toggling auto posts on and off. So there's a lot of improvements out hopefully within the next few months.
Awesome. That is super, super exciting. Okay, I'm going to let you go back over and have some dessert with your team and enjoy your training. Thank you so much for coming. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Tune in with us next Thursday. We will actually have Create ready to go, and I will actually have the Eric Hochberger here to talk with you about it. And then in 2 weeks from today, we are going to have Amber Bracegirdle. We've got a lot coming up. Month from today, we've got Marie Leggett, the Curvy Fashionista, to talk to you about affiliate marketing. Lots of good stuff on the horizon. And please, if you've ever got suggestions for me on what you'd like to see and who you'd like to see on Teal Talk, send me an email, jenny@mediavine.com. I am Jenny at Mediavine, but not .com. I'm currently in Orlando. You guys have a wonderful Thursday and weekend. Thank you again, Melissa. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.